Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
I'm all excited. Looks like we're making the big time here at USAPrepares.com. Everyone all set, cocked, locked? Here we go. Your dial's set correctly to USA Prepares. We're delighted you're here with us. We broadcast 2 hours, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 11 a.m. Central Time. If you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call, 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Telephone listen line is up and running, and you're going to want to write this down. 605-477-3249. 605-477-3249. Jason is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. I'm Vincent Finelli. Guineith Isaacs is live with us in Australia. Welcome, Guineith.
Hello, Vincent. How are you this morning? You do sound excited about something. Do tell.
I am excited. And I'll tell you why. Yesterday, I called Ron Gibson. Class, let me tell you who Ron Gibson is in case you're new to the class. Ron Gibson is a gentleman who posts the USA Prepares broadcast on his YouTube channel. Every day we're on the air, he posts it. He takes his own time, and he cuts out the commercials with my permission and Genesis's permission and posts it on YouTube every day. And I really thank Ron Gibson. I know him. I met him, and we had lunch together one day when I was on the East Coast. And so I called him yesterday to congratulate him. I said, Ron, congratulations. And he was wondering why I was congratulating him. Well, there's an article, and the article is on government slaves, GOVT slaves.com. Headline, bookmark this. Oh, the headline is, quote, bookmark this. Over 400 links Google doesn't want you to visit, end quote. So there are 400. Yeah. Now you know why I'm excited. Okay?
Yep.
Google doesn't want you to go to these 400 sites. Actually, there's probably more than that. Actually, there are. And I wanted to, so I called Ron Gibson to congratulate him. He made the list. And I talked with John Statmiller. I talked with John Statmiller. He's the owner of Republic Broadcasting Network, and he made the list. Now, so indirectly, we're on the list twice because Ron Gibson puts this broadcast. You'll hear this broadcast today. If you go to if you go to YouTube today, class, right after the broadcast is over, let's say around 12 o'clock noon, Central Time. If you go to YouTube and you type in Ron Gibson, Gibson, you'll find his channel. And there are two broadcasts that are on his channel, just two. One of them is Mike Rivero's What Really Happened, and the other one is USA Prepares. So that's what Ron Gibson does. So because of his hard work in making the truth available, he has been blacklisted. And because of John Statmiller's hard work and all of his broadcasters, he has made the list. So I'd like to share with you some of the names on this list. It's quite distinguished. As a matter of fact, it is extremely distinguished. And I am proud and delighted to say that for all of us at USA Prepares, that we are on the list, indirectly. Here it goes. Drudge Report, Breitbart, InfoWars, SteveQuayle.com. What Really Happened? Now that's Mike Rivero. Rents, Jeff Rents. Blacklisted News. The Free Thought Project. The Daily Sheeple. The Public Intelligence blog. Judicial Watch. Now I'm only naming some, not all, okay? Let's see. I'm going down a little more. Newsbusters. Democracy Now! Global Research, Anti-War, Reason.com, Prison Planet, CopBlock.org.
CopBlock's a good one.
Yeah.
CopBlock's great. Everybody should head across to CopBlock.
Mm-hmm.
I know their site well.
Mm-hmm. They've made it.
It doesn't surprise me that it made the list.
Veterans Today. Truth Stream Media. The New American, Freedom Project, SGT Report, as in Sergeant Report, Newsbud, Daily Caller. I'm going down the list a little bit here. True Activist, SHTF Plan, Counterpunch, Hang the Bankers. Hang the Bankers? I can't believe it. That was my website. I let it go.
Really?
Yes, I did. I had hang the bankers, hang the cops, and hang the politicians. Yep. Somebody decided.
Somebody took up the URL.
Yep. I let it go.
And now it's made the list.
Mm-hmm. Government.
Warm your heart.
Yep. Government slaves. Activist Post. Intel. IntelliHub. Coast to Coast, AM. Wow. CNS News. Let's see. News Target. The National Sentinel. USA Watchdog. WND. That's, WND.
World News Daily.
Correct. I'm going down a little further. Christian Post. Life News, Z3 News, Constitution, Washington Examiner, Conservative Daily Post, Another Day in the Empire, Townhall.com. Townhall.com, that's like top of the hour kind of news, right?
Yep.
Let's see, USnews.com. Let's see, Free Beacon. I'm still going down. Godfather Politics. Still going down. Long way to go. American Thinker. Campus Reform. AIM. Now, that is National Enquirer. The parent of, I believe that's the parent of National Enquirer. Lou Rockwell. Kind of amazing, isn't it? Going down
That's
some more.
marvelous.
Ground Zero.
Such good company.
David Icke. Skywatch. Aren't we in good company?
Yeah, that's a fantastic set of friends to have. You know, and I would regard that as being a badge of honor, Vincent.
Well, I agree.
To be numbered among such eminent, people out there in the freedom movement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The Blaze. The Hagman Report. Hagman Report. Doug Hagman's one of our instructors. Great. Another one of our instructors.
Love Hagmans.
Yeah, he's another one of our instructors.
The Hagmans.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yep.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm still looking. World Affairs Brief. Joel Skousen, another one of our instructors. Oathkeepers.org.
Half-Past Humans there.
Oh, he's here. Yeah, he's here.
Halfpasthuman.com.
Yeah, he's here. Let's see. I'm still going down the Daily Bell, the CoinDesk, altmarket.com, dailyjobcuts.com. You know, all the people who are talking about the real news. Dollar Today, Silver Doctors, goldsilver.com.
That's Mike Maloney.
Yeah. I like Mike Maloney.
Mike Maloney's great too.
Yeah, I mentioned CoinDesk. Gold is money, and we go into science. Science Daily. Geoengineeringwatch.org. That's our instructor, Dane Wigington. Let's see, it's tough to go down this in Universe Today, Red Orbit, Disclose TV, Eureka Alert. Still going down. There's a long way to go. GM Watch, Organic Consumer, Natural Blaze, Alt Healthworks, vaccines.news, Mercola. Let me say it a different way. Mercola, really? Gosh. These guys have pulled out all the stops, haven't they? Eco Watch, Alliance for Health, Juicing for Health, Food Babe, Green Med Info, truthaboutcancer.com, Al Jazeera.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you're in their preferred religion and you still don't like them and expose everything they do, you're still going to get on their list.
Yes. Truthseeker.co.uk. I'm still going down. Still going down. I'm just trying to read the ones that most people. Off-Grid Survival, Modern Survival Blog, Low Tech Magazine, Survival Blog, which is James Wesley Rawls, another one of our instructors, offthegridnews.com, Ask a Prepper, American Preppers Network. He's been to our expo, doomandbloom.net. He's an instructor. Let's see. Joe Alton, Dr. Joe Alton. SHTFpreparedness.com, Survivalpedia, guns.com, thefirearmblog.com, Guns Save Lives, AmmoLand, Guns America. And there's more. We'll be right back. Class, no kidding. This is a list of 400 links that Google does not want you to visit, and we are indirectly on that list through the Ron Gibson channel and Republic Broadcasting Network. So here I'm going to continue with a little bit more of this list. Unexplained Mysteries, Godlike Productions, CityData.com, Free Republic. Go into link aggregators. That would be Censored News, censored.news, newsblock.net, alternativenews.com, the Liberty Mill, Before It's News. Oh, Standeo. Standeo's on the list. Rumor Mill, yep. Rumor Mill News, Conspiracy Culture. Then for the YouTube channels, there's the Health Ranger, Dr. John Bergman, Dr. Axe, Dr. Mercola, Dr. Eric Berg, Dr. Group, Dr. Greger, RT, InfoWars, Project Veritas, TruthStream Media, Press for the Truth, Mark Dice, Tim Pool, We Are Change, Chris Simpson, Paul Joseph Watson, The Still Report, Next News Network, David Icke, let's see, Gerald Salente, The Corbett Report. He's one of our instructors as well. Dabu 77, X22, The Ron Paul Liberty Report, The Real News, Hagman Report, Ron Gibson. Congratulations, Ron Gibson. He's recording us right now to post this broadcast on the Ron Gibson channel right around 12 o'clock Central Time today. Cliff High. You mentioned Cliff High. Yep, he's on that list. Richie from Boston. Dutch Since. And there's a few others. How about that? What do you think, Gwyneth?
That's amazing. It's really, really interesting that this list has come to the surface right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So what does it mean? What does it mean? Well, what we have seen over the last year, our viewers on the Internet, viewers on YouTube, has gone down dramatically. Not just us. Everyone on that list. We've all gone down. And does that mean that fewer people are paying attention? I don't think so. Because people are finding other ways to find us. We're just not being advertised. So if we were talking about cookies and hamburgers and, the next new fashion and electronic sneakers, boy, we'd be doing great. But we're not. Well, actually, we are talking about electronic sneakers and how they track and spy on you. But if we were talking about why you should buy them, we'd be doing great. And we're not talking about stupid things about, like look at my dog walk backwards and putting that on Facebook. So we are not part of the generally dumb public, and we don't want to be. Because of that, we are blacklisted. And I think it's a badge of honor. I really do. So broadcasters, here's my request to my fellow broadcasters, our fellow broadcasters. Get the names and numbers and publish them of the people who are giving us a hard time. Let's make them famous. Let's expose them for their crimes. So, for example, we used to have some people that would beat us up on the Internet. We decided we had enough of that trash. These hit-and-run people, just like Paul Menard, who was involved in the crash of the Daytona 500 last week. He decided he wasn't far enough in the pack to win the race, and he was going to do whatever it took. Me first. I'm going to just crash into the car in front of me and cause an 18-car collision. Took out almost half the cars in the race, all by himself.
Oh, my gosh.
Because of his sick, pathetic individual greed. Yeah, he's a millennial. He's a baby millennial. And he was going to do whatever it took. At 200 miles an hour, he decides that he's going to push the guy in front of him into a spin, which caused an 18-car chain reaction within seconds. I'm not talking minutes. I'm talking right then and there. That's the kind of people that... I know what you're talking about. Hit and run. NASCAR is a disgrace. Don't pay attention to NASCAR. Don't buy anything NASCAR. We'll be right back. Guineith Isaacs is with us live in Australia. So, Guineith, the point about this Paul Menard there's a big store. It's like a home improvement type store where they have appliances and they have lumber and they have plumbing and electrical. They actually have food and other things as well. Menards is the name of this chain, and the owner is the father of this race car driver, this millennial race car driver who crashed into it caused the crash of 18 cars. Millions of dollars worth of damage. Now, I think he should be held personally responsible because he admitted he did it. And his words are, my bad. My bad. Let me say it a different way. Quote, my bad, end quote. What I'm saying is, here's a guy that is flagrant, callous, disregarding the health and safety of other people on the track because he wants to win. He's he's an intergalactic disgrace. Paul Menard. So Menards is off my list, and so are all the sponsors except for one, and I don't know how to get around it. And that company is called Moog, M-O-O-G. They make automotive suspension parts, and they're the world's best. So I have a problem with finding a cheap alternative to Moog, and I want to use the best suspension parts. So Unfortunately, I've been using Moog for 40 years, probably 30 at least. Bottom line is, so what do we do? Here's my advice to our fellow broadcasters, okay? Work with your fellow broadcasters, okay? Don't look at them as competitors. Look at them as allies. Share information. And then when you find people who bash you, hit and run drivers, peeping Tom types, anonymous, people who don't want to be exposed in the public media, expose them and ban them. Ban them from commenting on the websites that they take aim at us. Ban them. Don't let them do it. Why? As Rich Scheben says, if they can do it, we should do it. Okay? So if they say that that can be considered hate speech, well, let's consider it hate speech. When these jerks bash me, I consider it outrageous because they take these shots that are illogical, uninformed, unintelligent, and they can't even make complete sentences. They take things out of context. They're just irresponsible turds. And I don't like them. So we're not going to allow them to hit and run us anymore. We're not going to let it, in NASCAR it's called bump and run. It's not bump and run. It's hit and run. It's intentionally damaging. It's like running a race and the guy next to you looks like he's a good opponent and you're on a foot race. So what do? You kick him.
You trip
right?
him.
Yeah, you kick him so he falls down.
Dirty.
Right.
Hey, Vincent, I'll tell you a story. When Archie was a young man, he was a professional footballer. That's a soccer player, okay? And he used to play for a team called Queen's Park Rangers, which is actually it's an English team. And him and his boys also used to play for the Scottish national team. And they were playing a game of football one day. I'm not sure if it was for Scotland or if it was for their little club that they were playing for. But he had somebody, and he put from the opposing team, put athletic spikes onto his football boots, and you are not allowed to do that. And what this guy did was they picked out Archie because he was the guy who was scoring the goals. Okay? And what this guy did was he raked the back of his football boot, which had the athletic spikes, down Archie's calf. And for the rest of the game, he was pretty well disabled and crippled. Okay? But you know something, there was a friend of his watching, and this friend was called Turkey. And I'll tell you who Turkey was, because Turkey ended up getting a bit of a movie role. And Archie pointed him out to me one day. Have you ever seen the movie Braveheart?
Yes.
Do you remember the guy in Braveheart who says, "Remember me?" Because the English lad raped his wife? Mm-hmm. That's Turkey. Mm-hmm. That was one of Archie's friends. I forget his real name. But he was actually like that in real life. And boy, oh boy, when Turkey got a hold of this guy who raked his, spiked football boot down the back of Archie's leg, I think he, at the very least, was put into the hospital. Because I can tell you something, in real life, that's actually what Turkey is like. And Archie saw the Braveheart movie and he said, "Oh my God, it's Turkey." Because he had this nickname Turkey because that's sort of what his face looked like. And if you go onto the internet, I'm sure you'd be able to find who his real name was. But that was his moment in the sun was when he got that part in the Braveheart movie.
When our children were growing up, they all went to a karate class, and they participated in the state championship and the regional championship, and actually the national championship. And during the regional championship, which was 6 states on the East Coast, Virginia is one of them, our daughter was in the competition. And I'm just going to tell you it like it is. So this inner city girl and our daughter were, this was an elimination. And this was for the final round of who's going to be in first place and who's going to be in second place. So the first place would be the winner of this round, and whoever lost this round would be in second place. So this inner city girl, who is bigger than our daughter, is in the match. And this inner city thug punches our daughter right in the face. First hit. Now, that's an illegal move if you're under 18 years old, and our daughter was at the time. So the first thing that this gal did, this inner city thug, was try to stun our daughter by hitting her in the face. Absolutely dazed our daughter. An illegal move. And I jumped out of the bleachers. I ran right onto the mat, and I confronted the judge who was going to allow this. Our daughter was dazed, literally stumbling because she just got hit in the face. First shot. Now, our daughter was smaller in height than this other girl, her competitor. And I said to our daughter, that was an illegal move. You know that. I know you're stunned. But I know that you can put your foot right in her face. I want you to kick that girl right in the face because she made an illegal move to try to force this win. And I want you to do that. And I know it's not a legal move either, but I want you to kick her right in the face. So our daughter did a round kick right to the face. That was the next move. And so what does the judge do? Well, it's a black and white issue. This inner city girl is disadvantaged, and our daughter did an illegal move. So our daughter took second place. That's the way it is.
Oh, man.
So what I'm telling you is, when I see these illegal moves, it makes me angry. It really does. Yep. So when people are blacklisting us, let's go get them. Let's go get him, Mark Zuckerberg. I don't think there's anybody on the planet I despise more than Mark Zuckerberg. So, class,
that's fair enough.
Class, let's go get these turkeys. And I don't mean hurt them physically. I mean expose them for their crimes. Mark Zuckerberg, in my opinion, is a criminal for the spying that he did. The illegal spying he did on everybody that he could get his hands on. Mark in Illinois, welcome. You're on with Guineith Isaacs.
Yeah, I wasn't going to talk about this, but, the CIA book, Facebook, I'd never been on any social media except for, the only thing I've ever done is email. But I'd never been on any social media because I knew from the very beginning what it was. And, and I guess maybe from discernment of spirits, of having discernment through the Spirit of God to stay away from it. But, people are going to slander, they're going to gossip, they're going to backbite. And, in God's Word considers it murder. When you tear a person's character down, when you assassinate their character, and I had a lot of people do that to me, it's considered evil tongue. It's considered murder. And, what's the price for murder? Death.
Well, okay, so I'm going to call this guy out. His name is Magenta 408. He used to bash us. He would bash everybody. He's absolute trash. Magenta 408 is his handle. I'm calling him out because what he did was atrocious. He would bash Guineith. He would bash everybody on USA Prepares. He couldn't complete a sentence, but every once in a while he'd post something positive. Once in a while. But most of the time, he would bash me. He would bash my father. He never met my father. He doesn't know anything about my father, and all I've ever said about my dad was the good things that he did to inspire others to do good things. And this jerk, Magenta, or 408 Magenta, bashed him too. Well, we just put an end to him. We shut him down. I've had enough of that jerk. Well, there it is. So I'm coming out swinging. I'm getting more angry at the stupidity of the generally dumb public. I'm frosted. I'm angry.
I had a question for Gwen and...
All right, well, you can ask that when we get back. It'll give me a chance to calm down. We'll be right back with Guineith and Mark. Guineith is live with us. Mark in Illinois. I've got just a couple of minutes, so please continue.
Yeah, hi, Gwen. I wanted to ask you if you're familiar with a book called The Story of the Celto-Saxon Israel by W.H. Bennett.
What was that, sorry? What was the name of the book?
It's The Story of Celto-Saxon Israel. It's printed by Covenant Publishing out of London, and it's by W.H. Bennett, and Bennett is Bennett. I'm
not familiar with that book, but I have studied the history of the Celts in the Holy Land somewhat. Okay, and this is from it's from the original Celtic mythology of what they say. They say that around about 3,500 years ago or 4,000 years ago, that they were living as a nation in a part of the world that we now call Kazakhstan. Okay, and that one of their medicine men or druids came to them, one of their shamans came to them, said that he had had a vision and that they were to leave that place, and they began a 400-year journey. They wandered all over Central Asia.
They went across the Caucasus Mountains and came down in what's modern-day Ukraine.
That's right. And they wandered for a time with Moses in the wilderness, but they were not meant to be two nations together, and these were the Midianites that were intermarrying with the Hebrews in the wilderness. That's who they were. They were the ancestors of the Gaels, okay? And Moses realized that they should not be there, and he killed a bunch of them. And the survivors fled, and some of them took their spouses with them. And for that reason, you have particular Gaelic tribes actually have Hebrew surnames, like there is, or Egyptian surnames. There's there's a Gaelic tribe called the Ramses. Okay, that's actually the name of the tribe. It's Ramsey. There's another Gaelic tribe.
Are you familiar with you said you're familiar with Gaelic, but there's Gaelic, there's the Cymry, and there's the Ogham.
I learned how to speak Scottish Gaelic because Archie was a Scottish Highlander, and that was his first language. So I learned how to speak Scottish Gaelic. There's also a clan called Levis, okay? And they are an Irish clan. I don't know that any of them ever went across to Scotland, but there's not many of them. The Mac Isaacs are not Jewish, okay? There was a fellow, his name was Isaac MacDonald, and he fell in love with a Campbell woman, and there was a war between the two clans, and so he changed his name from Isaac MacDonald to Donald Mac Isaac, and he was the ancestor of the Mac Isaacs, so they're not Jewish. I thought for many years that they were, and I studied the history.
Yeah. They're the lost tribes of Israel. You know, I wanted to ask you, they're not lost, though. They're really wound up all in the British Isles. But in New Zealand, the first people who invented the ship, the Hebrews were the ones who invented the ships. And they were the tribe of Zebulun. They were the people that invented the actual ships. There were no ships in the world until they invented them. And they're the people that settled New Zealand, right? The tribe of Zebulun?
That I'm not sure about, because there were ships in a number of different parts of the world that were invented at different times by different nations, and that's why you get different ship designs all over the world. The ships that the Polynesians had, they descended from vessels that were used throughout Egypt and Libya and Mauritania. So they're a version of the Egyptian reed boat. Okay, that's where they come from. Because that's in the beginning, the Maori people came from Mauritania.
Gwyneth, we're going into the top of the hour news and commercial announcements. Mark, I want to thank you for your call. Gwyneth has some information that she's going to share with us for the second hour. Mark, thank you so much. Gwyneth and I will be right back. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. You know, one of the things that you shouldn't do on radio is talk about advertisers, but I'm going to do it right now. It's the kiss of death, if you want to be a broadcaster. So here we go. I just heard a wonderful commercial. And this commercial is looking for someone to assist 2 people on the East Coast. And so this person has paid for airtime on USA Prepares. It's a Genesis Communications Network commercial. It's not one of ours at USA Prepares, but it's on our broadcast because he's looking for someone he can trust to assist with his family. Now think about that. You've never heard a commercial like that, because I haven't either. I'm flattered and honored that advertisement is running on USA Prepares. Because what that means is the person who paid for that advertising believes that the USA Prepares family, the class, is the kind of person that he would trust in his home without knowing who that person is. Think about that, class. Do you think that that person has said, hey, you know what, maybe we should advertise on the Ellen DeGenerate show?
Oh, boy, that would be a disaster, wouldn't
it? Yeah, and I think I pronounced her name right, Ellen DeGenerate. Anyway, Gwyneth, I really appreciate you being with us. And I think you were right. It's a badge of honor that we were called out as being not worthy of being recommended by the parasites at Google. During the broadcast, I called Rick Kaylor. Rick Kaylor owns a company called Rick's Satellite. I have a Rick's Satellite antenna, feed horn, and receiver here at the farm. It's a small dish. It's like a satellite television dish. You know, the little ones, not the 8 and 10, 12-foot jobs. It's a small one. And I have it hooked up with an underground cable for satellite reception. Now, why am I mentioning that? Well, I asked Rick if he would come on the air with me, and he agreed to do that 9 o'clock a.m. Central Time on the 1st of next month. That would be March 1 at 9 a.m. Hour number 1 at USA Prepares. Why? Because I mentioned that we are blacklisted. Well, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think these guys are going to come down hard on us. And I think that they're going to want to silence us even further when they find out that their initial attempts don't work as well as they'd like. Well, what is the answer? Well, the answer is you can have your own receiver and you can listen to the broadcast on Genesis Communications Network, Republic Broadcasting Network, and the Rents Radio Network. Now, why am I mentioning Rents, even though we are not on Rents? Because I believe the information is valuable, and I believe you need to know it. I've talked to Jeff Rents, and he said that, this was months ago, he said that he does not do interviews on the radio. I invited him on. He said he does not do interviews, but he will for us. So I'm going to have Jeff on.
Wow, that's great.
Oh, yeah. I really like Jeff Rense. I'll tell you what. It was so nice.
He's a good guy.
Yes, he is a good guy. He really is a good guy. And, we had, two broadcasters on the telephone at the same time. And it was wonderful. I just listened, and he was like nonstop great information. I loved listening to him and being on the phone with him. So you'll get a chance to see what that's like when Jeff Rense is interviewed here at USA Prepares. So that's why I think his information is great. I don't believe that we at USA Prepares have any competitors. I think we have allies. I think the other broadcasters are our allies. They are part of our team. Even though we don't know who each other is, we're still on the same team. The team for truth. The new media. Gwyneth, you had some information.
You know something,
yes,
Vincent?
Yes.
I don't think that the other team can understand and comprehend that. Because
you mean the fact
they are so evil, they're so given to competition that they cannot understand when people who are walking in the same direction actually cooperate together. It's like that, I don't know if they have it as a hymn in the Catholic Church, but there's a Protestant hymn which says, "Brother, let me bear thy burden. Let me be as Christ to you." And that's the attitude among the, the new media community, the what used to be called the alternative radio, alternative media community. We're not the alternative anymore. We're now the new. I absolutely agree with that change in linguistics.
I think we need to coin a new term right here, right now. And that new term is the Menard's syndrome. Menard's syndrome. After Paul Menard and the Menard's store. Because I think the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I said this yesterday. I've said it for a couple of days. Some people say, why does it keep repeating the same thing? Because it's that important. The Menard syndrome, as defined by Vincent Finelli, is get out of my way. Get out of my way. Me first. Me first. I'm a millennial and I deserve to be happy. I deserve to win at any cost. That's the Menard syndrome.
Gosh. Yeah. You know what? There's these people are Satanists, and they have to follow a certain set of satanic rules that they have. Okay? And one of them is that they have to tell us exactly what they do before they do it, and we have to agree to them doing it. Okay? There's a movie out there called Need for Speed, and I think that the whole class ought to watch this movie. You could probably watch it, on your favorite video streaming service. But there's a guy in this movie called Dino Brewster, and he's the bad guy in the movie. And the whole movie is a street racing and car racing movie. Okay, and it actually stars. Oh, gosh, what's his name? A really, really, really famous actor who's one of the stars of this movie. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I might remember it later. But anyway, guess how Dino Brewster wins all his races?
No, I can't wait to hear.
He clips them, and he flips them. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what you're talking about.
That is exactly what I'm talking about.
That's exactly what you're talking about. And at the start of the movie, probably about 20 minutes or half an hour into the movie, he clips this boy's car. He would only be about 18 or 19 in the movie, and he flips it. And he flips it into a river, and it crashes and burns and kills this 18 or 19-year-old boy. Do these people realize that when they do the good old clip and flip, that they could kill someone? And that's possibly, you know, a young life, an old life, it doesn't matter. It's somebody's life will be brought to an end sooner or later just by sheer statistics and probability by the good old clip and flip maneuver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when somebody uses the expression, my bad, as Paul Menard did
that's just
after he caused this. Yeah, when they use that term, I think you ought to respond, class, by saying, you know what? That's idiotic. That's an idiotic term. It lowers your IQ by at least 25%. So you might want to stop using it. I hate that term. I really, really hate that term. So, class, the new term is Menard's syndrome. Get out of my way. Me first. I'm a millennial. I deserve happiness, and I deserve to win.
By the way, the guy who is the nemesis of Dino Brewster, he actually figures out a way to avoid the clip and flip. Okay, the Menard syndrome, and you know what that is? He sees Dino Brewster coming up on his side. He knows he's going to try and do this maneuver on him. And you know what he does? Just as he knows he's about to do it, he puts the brakes on slightly, ever so slightly. He's driving a Koenigsegg. Do you know what a Koenigsegg is, Vincent?
No, I do not.
It's a European car. They're not supposed to be in the United States, but this guy Dino actually has 3 of them because he's immensely wealthy. He's probably the son of what's his face, and he the Koenigsegg Agera, okay, is a high-powered European race car. You could put a Formula One livery on it and just put it on the track. And they have a top speed of over 200 miles an hour, okay? And they have, you know, however many cylinders they have, but far more than your normal car. And so all he had to do was just tap the brakes as, Dino Brewster was going to do the clip and flip. And Dino couldn't do anything about it. His car just went thunk backwards. Okay, that's a good bit of onomatopoeia. Thunk backwards. Dino couldn't do anything about it. His car slid over too far, slid out of control and flipped. If you ever find yourself with somebody behind you wanting to do a clip and flip, that's what you do.
I'm going to watch the movie. You put the brakes on and you pull
back and you let them go in front and they will probably swing out of control and flip themselves.
I'm going to watch the movie. Got a couple quick comments when we come back after about racing and when I used to race. Guineith's with us. Back in the 1970s, I used to race in an amateur way, but on a real racetrack. And it was NHRA, National Hot Rod Association. And never once did it occur to me, nor do I believe to anyone else who raced on the track with officials, did it occur to any of us to cheat, to put another race car driver in danger, to put those in the stands in danger. Never did it occur to us to do that. It was honorable. It was above board. And we drove like ladies and gentlemen. We didn't think of, looking over at the other driver next to us and giving him the finger or, mouthing curse words at him or insults. Never happened. Never happened. But that was then. Times have changed. They've gotten worse. Now if a guy flies up on your tail and you're on a interstate and you're doing the speed limit flies up on your tail, beeps the horn, rides right on your bumper. He's like, he subscribes to the Menard syndrome. School of aggressive behavior. I see it all the time. Me first. Get out of my way.
Absolutely true.
I'm important. And I deserve to win. And I'm a millennial. Don't confuse me with the facts. That's the attitude I see, and I despise it. But anyway, Guineith, you and I were going to talk about two things. One is T's and C's of Zuckerberg, right? I can't stand that guy.
Oh my!
I can't stand. I can't stand.
Yeah.
He looks subhuman. And I'm saying that on purpose.
Like his cousins have married each other for the last 5 generations.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's being kind.
I hope he's listening.
You know.
I hope he's listening. Because as Winston Churchill said, I'm paraphrasing, Lady Astor said, Winston, you're a drunk. And he said, in so many words, yes, I am. I said, but you're ugly. And in the morning, I'll be sober and you'll still be ugly.
Yeah. That's
so Mark,
that's
in the morning, regardless of how much money you have conned people out of, you're still ugly. And you're going to be ugly in the morning.
Yep.
That's the meanest thing I can say to him.
You know something, Vincent? We need to realize he's not just ugly on the outside. Because I have known in my life some people who have been hideously deformed, had accidents where they got their face burnt off and all that sort of thing on the outside, but they're beautiful people inside.
I agree.
But
he's not one of them.
He's not one of them.
Right.
It's absolutely crazy. These terms and conditions, I forwarded it to you because I knew that this would push your buttons, and I'm glad that it has because it certainly pushed mine. It seems to me that if you're in one of their protected groups, you get a free pass. Just basically accuse anyone who's mean to you of being whatever ism that happens to apply to you. And, I think that Rich Sheaven, he hits the nail on the head. I think, oh my gosh, let's just see people, instead of seeing their skin color or their gender or their race or whatever, and saying that some people need to be coddled and protected because they're poor, unfortunate little babies, let's treat everybody like human beings, okay? And if they behave badly, we should treat them like badly behaved human beings. I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, let's continue this. And I don't have
I'd love to.
I don't have the link, but I'll follow your lead when we come back. So, terms and conditions, Guineith, what would you like to tell us about Facebook's terms and conditions?
Okay. You can't be mean to any of their protected groups, okay? And I say, well, that's okay. I'll just begin identifying as a 320-year-old transvestite Caribbean pirate and see what they do about that. I'll strap on a codpiece and I'll change my name, and every time I go out, I'll put my scarf on, which I do anyway mostly because I've just done it for a long time, for years, long time before this. And I'll show them up, because they'll still be mean to me. And I'll say, excuse me, darlings, I thought you weren't supposed to be mean to transvestite people because that's against your terms and conditions. And I know that you're just being horrible to me because I'm a 320-year-old transvestite Caribbean pirate. And you know something, Vincent? I would tie them in knots. I would absolutely tie them in knots. They wouldn't know what to make of me. What do you reckon?
Well, I'm looking at facebook.com/terms.php. Number 3, the permissions you give us. We need certain permissions from you to provide our services. Number 1, permission to use the content that you create and share. You own the content you create and share on Facebook and other Facebook products that you use, and nothing in these terms takes away the rights you have to your own content. You are free to share your content with anyone else wherever you want. To provide our services, though, we need you to give us some legal permissions to use that content. Specifically, when you share a post or upload content that's covered by intellectual property rights, like photos or videos on or in connection with our products, you grant us a transferable, let me say it a different way.
They can sell it.
Transferable sublicense.
To whoever they want.
That's right.
They can sell that right.
Yes. You grant us a non-exclusive, transferable, sublicensable, royalty-free, and worldwide license to host, use, distribute, modify, run, copy, publicly perform or display, translate, and create derivative works of your content consistent with your privacy and application settings. This means, for example, that if you share a photo on Facebook, you give us permission to store, copy, and share with others. Again, consistent with your settings.
Photo.
That's right.
And you may not even be able to tell because of the level of computer technology that they have. And then they can repost the changed photo onto your site. And then when people jump up and down about it, you've got no recourse to come back to them and say, that's not what I posted. You're absolutely right, Vincent. I didn't even pick up on that. I was picking up on the discrimination and the fact that this is going to give the social justice blue-haired moron rainbow unicorn brigade, all the freedom that they need to go and give the rest of us a bad time.
Yep. So
that's what I was picking up on. But you're absolutely right. That's even what you pointed out is even more serious than what I was seeing.
So according to, this is their words, not mine. What I've been reading is their words, not mine. This means, for example, that if you share a photo on Facebook, you give us permission to store, copy, and share it with others, again, consistent with your settings, such as service providers that support our service or other Facebook products that you use. What that really means is they can share whatever you post on Facebook. They can share it, they can copy it, they can store it ad infinitum. They can share it with anyone that they're associated with. Sharing could be, I'll share it, but you got to pay me. I mean, you are letting those parasites, those perverts at Facebook, do whatever they want with whatever you sent them. That is why I do not have a Zuckerberg Facebook account. Can you imagine? And Mark said CIA book. Yeah, that's right. People have given Zuckerberg intimate details. I no longer use Facebook. I've discontinued use for quite a while. And the only thing I used it for, the only thing, was to let you know about the broadcast or about our expos. That's it. That's it. Class, I suggest that what you do is you back off Facebook, delete all your information and distance yourself from Mark Zuckerberg et al. And his ilk. And I suggest that you consider a different search engine. And why? Because Google is doing the same thing. They are tracking and monitoring your every move. So a search engine that you might want to consider is called DuckDuckGo.com. DuckDuckGo.com. Rather than, what everyone else uses, Google. Why does everyone use Google? Because it works. Why does it work? Because everyone uses it. Because they've got more money than everybody else. They are the dominant monopoly player in the search engine business. And back when they first came out, who would have thought? Who would have thought that they'd be spying on your every move? Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that their email would be retained for whatever length they determine to retain it, and share it with the blue plague and other plagues like the blue plague? It's going to be difficult going forward. It's going to be very difficult. Privacy is not free. Privacy is expensive. And I suggest you go out of your way and use cash. I've said it for years, because if you stop using cash, there will be no cash. Okay? Go to your bank and withdraw cash. Be a pain in the neck. I mean, you can be polite, but you can say, I'd like to have some money out of my account in cash, please. Ask them what their limit is when they report you to the feds. How much do I take out before you report me? Ask them. They'll tell you we can't tell you. Keep asking them every time. Make a nuisance of asking them. Ask them so that other people can hear. I was talking to a person a few days ago, and he went to the bank and he wanted some money, cash, because he wanted to buy something, and the person he wanted to buy it from was an individual. Think of it like a garage sale. And the guy had some items that were, in the hundreds of dollar range, and he wanted some hundreds of dollars to go buy these things at this, we'll call it a garage sale. And the bank wanted to know what he was going to use the money for. What do you use it for? What are you going to do with the money?
That's none of their darned business.
Yeah, that lit me up. When I heard that.
That's what you say.
Yeah.
And if you feel like being less polite, be less polite, because I think the time for politeness is over.
I hate to say it. You're right. You're absolutely right. What business is it of the bank that's holding your money hostage to ask you what you're going to do with it? What business is it? It's none of their business. It's your money. And in that line of thinking, class, I suggest that you accumulate some cash. Why? Because you may be arrested on a Friday night and you may have to post bail. And if the banks aren't open till Monday, you're going to sit there. Around here, $1,500 might be able to get you out of jail. But they're going to want it in cash. So you might want to have some cash lying around. Store it safely. I mean, really, is it that dangerous to have cash in your place, wherever your place happens to be? What makes you think that a bank is safe? What makes you think that the feds can't come over to the bank and say, via telephone call even, listen, I want you to lock down Mr. Smith's or Mrs. Smith's account till further notice. We'll let you know when that is. Then you go to pay your mortgage or your car payment or buy gasoline or pay your credit card bill or whatever you need to do, and you can't. Why? Because some jerk called the bank and said, lock down your account.
You know something, Vincent? A number of years ago, I bought a puppy, okay? This puppy was quite an expensive pup. It was a Maremma. And I went to pay for this puppy. The people, when I got to the place, I had to drive like about an hour and a half or 2 hours to get to the farm where the puppy was. It was raised on farm, free range, with working parents, and so on and so forth. But what happened was these people, when I got there, they wanted me to pay for the puppy via electronic bank transfer, okay? And I tried to do the bank transfer, and guess what? My bank locked down my account for trying to do an $800 electronic transfer to pay for this pup.
Okay, it's time for another short story. When we come back, I'll tell you something that happened. Class, you won't believe it. It's like what Guineith is talking about. We'll be right back. Okay, class, I'm going to tell you why you can't depend on credit cards. True story. This happened to me. I'm going to recap it very quickly. So in the years of 2005 and 2006, I was traveling back and forth from Virginia to Missouri while we were building our farmhouse here in Missouri. We lived in Virginia. It was 1,100 miles or so. And I would make the trip about, on average, every 10 days for 18 months. So on the way back to Virginia, I was at a traffic light with my truck, a Dodge Cummins turbo diesel, and I looked to my left, and there was a sign at the big box auto store, the chain store, saying, buy one, get one free, full synthetic oil. So I pulled in, and I said to the salesperson, I can buy one and get one free? Yep. Mm-hmm. I said, is there a limit? He said, no. I said, I could buy cases? He said, yes. There was only 6 in the case. So I said, okay. He had 3 cases. So he said, but I'm going to have to ring it up separately. I said, oh, that's okay. So he rang up 3 transactions, one after the next, took several minutes, and I got my 3 cases that I paid for, and I got 3 cases for free. Got back in my truck. I used a Casey's MasterCard. Casey's General Store was imprinted on the front. Went to get my next fuel stop a little farther down the road in Virginia at the truck stop. My card didn't work. Used a different card. Called up the credit card processor, and they said, well, it looked like fraud. I said, what are you talking about? They said, well, there are 3 transactions for the same amount of money. One after next. It looks like fraud, so we shut your card down. I said, knock it off. I said, okay, so they reset my card. So during those trips,
that happened.
It was, well, I've got 3 stories. It happened. Same
It happened to me. It's happened to you.
Okay.
It happened.
Next story. So it was freezing cold. It was about 10 degrees or so outside. And I stopped at a Flying J, same Flying J truck stop that I used to stop at all the time on these trips. Like every 10 days, I'd be at the same Flying J stations across this 1,100 miles. I pulled in. It was so cold, and I went inside, and I said, do you guys winterize your fuel? The guys, I don't know. I said, okay. So what do you do if you have diesel and the fuel's not winterized? It will gel, and you will be stranded. And I didn't want to die in 10-degree temperatures. So I did what most people do if they know about diesel fuel. What you do is you mix diesel and gasoline. So I went to the pump. I put a gallon of gasoline in. Then I paid for the rest of the tank in diesel. Let's say 30 gallons of diesel after I put 1 gallon of gasoline in. And the reason I did it that way is I wanted the diesel to come on top of the gasoline, mix with it thoroughly before I took off.
Yep.
Yeah. So got in the truck.
By the way,
everything's good.
You can do the same thing in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a gasoline vehicle, you can put half a gallon to a 60-liter fuel tank of diesel in the bottom, and it'll make your engine run smoother.
Yep, it'll cost, well, sometimes depending on the price of fuel, it can cost more or less. But yes, you can, and I have done that. You're right. So I continued on my trip, and I went to the next Flying J, and my credit card didn't work. I got home to Virginia, and I called up, and they said, well, it looked like fraud because, it looks like you tested your card for a couple $dollars worth of gasoline, and then you used it for a big purchase of diesel fuel, and it was probably like almost $4 a gallon back then. Okay? So they shut my card down. I said, knock it off. Then the next one on the same credit card, this was a Casey's MasterCard. The next one was we were paying our internet bill with Verizon, $19.95 plus tax, and tax. And we paid for our daughters, too. Both of our names are Finelli. Okay? So the cycle date is the same. The credit card shut it down because they saw two charges for $19.95 and whatever all the taxes were on the same day to Verizon. So they shut us down again. What I'm telling you, class, is you can be shut down because of some quirky algorithm. Ultimately, I called the chief financial officer.
Vincent,
yes.
can I quickly plug my newsletter?
Please do.
I've just begun an internet newsletter. Okay. So it's subscription newsletter, $10 a month for absolutely fantastic content. Go to USA Prepares and you'll be able to get the link off of there. It will take you to a website and you'll be able to do the subscription.
There you go. What I'll do is I'll post that as soon as I receive it, class. I'll post it on USA Prepares.
I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Yep. When Guineith has light to power her internet-based computer. Guineith Isaacs, thank you for being with us, Guineith, in Australia.